can't make a mountain out of something small because sometimes you gotta give them space. Like you'll say something and the student will look at another student and roll their eyes. And the ego in me will want to say, why are you rolling your eyes? But I could let it go. Or I could, because you know what? Why fight that little battle?
Yeah.
Right? When there's more battles that are more meaningful.
Yeah.
Or a student might even say something to me.
Like,
Oh, bruh. Oh, I hate bruh. That's so disrespectful. That's so disrespectful to do it anyway is disrespectful, but to do it to a teacher, I had a couple of students do that.
Oh, no.
And so I will just to let it go.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's part of really sensing who they are and giving them some space. It's right by my apartment, and then it drops you off on Western, which is in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, I know where that is.
That's not far at all. It's in Portball, you know?
Yeah.
And
very
I feel
good.
good about that.
All right. Thanks for being here, Ruben.
Of course.
Mr. Ruben Aguilar.
Yes.
I gotta take notes. LA native.
Yeah.
Are you, what's Aguilar? Ethnicity.
You know, we have been so proud in my family of being Aguilar.
Oh.
Because we call ourselves Mexican, we call ourselves Native American. But my brother did a deep dive, and we're conquerors. We're Spaniards.
Oh.
I think a lot of Mexican Americans don't realize that.
Yeah.
I think if they do the background check, they'll find out that there's a lot of Spanish blood in us.
Yeah.
You know what? That's fine. So Mexican American grandparents, great grandparents moved here from Mexico, and
Oh, really?
and
You're
so
like a
here
fourth
I am.
generation, fifth
Yes,
generation.
I'm a fourth generation. Yeah. So I'm very grateful. I'm one of those weird Mexican Americans who likes America. No emails, please. It's my fault. Don't message Terry. Sorry. About my that I actually like America.
Oh, well, I thought a lot of Mexican people like America.
Do they? Okay. I don't know about lately.
LA native. Did you grow up in downtown LA?
No, I grew up. First few years was East LA. Orale, Canales out there. And then when I was around 6, earlier my parents split up, and then my mom took us, me and my two brothers, to Covina.
Ah.
The Covina area. Got a lot of love. And you know, they have a Laugh Factory there.
Yeah.
I know that area
Wow.
perfectly because that's where I grew up. So
Really?
It's really nice.
You know-
It gives me nostalgia to be around there. And that Laugh Factory used to be a movie theater, and then it turned into a playhouse.
Oh.
But the movie theater was a place we went to as kids, you know. So it's really cool to go back there and walk the neighborhood.
Was Chatterbox there?
Chatterbox has been there for a long
Oh, really?
time. Oh, yeah. I was a kid.
Oh.
But as a kid, I didn't know it. I don't even know if they had comedy back then. When I was a kid, I remember seeing it as like a dive bar, you know,
I
driving
see.
by, thinking one day I'll drink, you know, as an 8-year-old, thinking one day I will be a drunk and maybe stay there. No.
Oh, I see.
But that's all it was. But it's been there forever, yeah. Long time.
Oh. Well, I guess the current owner just took it over from somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
From what I remember, I believe so. I believe it was there for many years.
Nice.
The Chatterbox, yeah.
And what did you study in school?
English. English. And I got my degree, and the only thing you can do, you know, with an English degree is
English literature?
teach. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, you're a teacher.
I'm a teacher.
Oh, yeah, I remember you telling us that.
Yeah.
You LAUSD?
I was at LUSD.
Oh.
Now I've bounced around.
Oh, wow.
Now I teach at a private school.
That's awesome.
English, AP Lit,
Oh, wow.
AP Lang.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so
How do you like it?
I love it.
Where is it?
Yeah, I do like it. It's in LA.
Oh.
Yeah, and so like, part of why I moved to downtown is to be closer to work and to be. I've always dreamed of either walking to work
Yeah.
or Terry left.
I'm
He's
back.
back. And so I like it a lot. You know, I don't know if I could ever leave teaching entirely. I find it very meaningful, and so I like the connections. I like the idea of people people telling you, hey, you influenced my life. People coming back to me years later or things like that would be hard to walk away, and I know why teachers have gotten depressed once they retired. So,
Oh, no.
And maybe that's why I do comedy, is that there's something there, waiting for me if I retire.
How long have you been teaching?
20 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Some of your early students must be in their like
Yeah.
30s now.
They're dating age for me. So that's creepy.
Are you gonna date? No.
I'm gonna stop.
But how old were you when you first started teaching?
I was 22 when I was first in the classroom. So like now, so actually, I guess I don't count those years as teaching years because I was just a TA. Then I built into a teacher, but I really liked. Well, so when I was that young, and I looked like one of the students.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a real rough transition at first, but I feel like before you become a teacher, you should be in the classroom, understanding the psychology of students, even if it's just grading papers and moving students, helping them with their books to their locker, just knowing the psychology of students. That really helped me before I became a teacher.
Are you good with students? They're not rebellious or anything?
They hate me.
Oh.
They wish me dead.
Really?
Is that being good with the students? No. No. I think I am.
That's awesome.
Objectively speaking, I think I believe I am. I have these rough moments because I feel like a good part of being a good teacher is you have to have boundaries. You have to be able to say no.
Yeah.
Some students don't like that. They might hate me at first, but I think if they stick with me in the long run, we make it. And they understood. They understand the process.
Kind of like tough love.
You have to, though. You have to.
Nice. I agree with that.
Yeah, and you have to do things that are innately you feel uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
And you see the look on their face, and you say, no, I'm going to go this direction. No, that's the rule. No, that's how we do things. But then when you're a kid, you have to you're forming your personality for the first time anyway. You need to build boundaries, and you need to build rules, or you need to master rules. Not that I'm a teacher that is all about the rules, but I'm just saying that part of teaching is kind of the nurturing and also the setting up of parameters within the classroom. So.
Do you find that LA students they're familiar with growing up with rules in their family households, or they are just getting exposed to it for the first time with you?
I think that by and large, if it's been positive, students we will respond to a teacher who has very strong environment. And they sense the nurturing part. Every student, we wish happy birthday, have their birthdays on the wall.
Oh, wow.
They sense the nurturing and the caring, but they also need that sense of, hey, this was the due date. You need to follow it, and you can't be late. You can't.
Yeah.
And so they feel that type of love. They sense, well, this teacher cares enough to enforce this, and so. Most of my students, I feel, have been very positive.
Nice.
React positively, to me. There's been a real struggle since the pandemic, though, because
oh, really?
Because there was a lot of learning loss, because students lost socialization.
Oh, wow.
At very critical ages.
Yeah.
Where they weren't around other students for years, and they also, on top of that, had that learning loss because they were learning online. And some of them were not engaged. Many of them were not engaged. And the students that did well are the students who would normally do well anyway, often.
Wow.
In a lot of cases. But if you're talking about students with special needs, or even students without special needs but had focus issues, who are being required to look at a screen for 8 hours or whatever, they really struggled. So when they came back, you sense a change.
Oh man.
I saw more fights in the school rounds. I saw more depression, more requests to see the therapist than I've ever seen.
Really?
Ever.
That didn't even exist when I was going to school here.
That's right. And so that's been a concern. And so you have to, that's where my experience, I think, came into play, because I say, well, I can work with this. I can deal with this. I know that it's a long semester. I know how to get this assignment from the student later on. But some teachers with very rigid ideas couldn't work with that. It's like, no, nothing changes now. I'm the same as I've always been. I'm not going to move for you. And I don't think that worked. I do think students need to build those muscles again, those academic and those social muscles. But similarly, we need to build up to that, help them build up to that. So there's a lot of struggle after the pandemic.
Yeah, how are you though as a teacher during the pandemic? Was there any?
I was fine.
Oh.
I mean, I don't think I struggled that much.
But were you like teaching online or?
I was teaching online.
Nice.
I preferred to teach in the class. I know
nice.
you won't hear this very much from teachers.
Right?
They'd be like, "Oh, this is great," but I felt like I just knew what was going on with the students, with some of my students, and I thought I had parents begging to bring their kid. I had a couple of parents begging.
Interesting.
And it was a no, and it was like, well, why are we doing this? Like, if the parent's begging, if the teacher wants to go, let them both take the risk. And, but so we might have done some things differently, perhaps. But so that's some of the challenges that have occurred that I've seen among students. But I feel very blessed that I don't know. I just feel like I had good teachers, both at school and also at the church. I grew up in the church, and I had these great mentors, and I feel like, not to be cliche, but now I got to give back, or now I want to invest in somebody like that. I was invested in, so that's part of the motivation, I think.
Have you been going to church a while, or?
Yeah, pretty much all my life.
Same one?
No.
Oh.
No, there's been so many different churches.
Nice.
But just when I say the church, I mean this capital C, like the church in the sense of I went to church, but they were different churches. Oh. But I guess I went to the same one for many years, for maybe 15 years.
Oh, wow.
15, 20 years, but I don't go there anymore. But yeah, so that's what influenced, that's what motivates, I think.
I don't want to pry, but I mean, I don't go to the same church either. But what made you stop going? Because you spent a lot of time there.
Very great question. I feel like the church that I left was not the church that I started.
Oh, really?
When I went. And when a pastor gets too much power, sometimes he feels it necessary to use it.
Oh, really?
And to lord it over others.
It's juicy.
And it was so brutal. Many people were just laying on the altar bloody. Just can have stories about this guy. And for me, it was like, I'm so uncomfortable here, seeing all my friends leave and being asked to leave, or just seeing a guy whose ego is
really
front and center. And I'm not speaking for every church, of course.
Yeah.
There's a case study, right? This particular, and so I felt like it was time. And it's tough though, when you forge these friendships and social bonds, and then you just walk away.
Oh no!
It's like,
yeah.
Now it's all gone.
It happened to me once.
So you can relate.
Yeah. Wait, what was wrong with them? Because why did it have so much power? Like, what could it possibly do to these people?
I think that I will say that accountability that's in the church, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't like boards, and a lot of people don't like systems. And I understand. they tend to be very complicated, a lot of red tape, but they're there for a reason.
Huh.
And in this person's case, he's not answering to anybody. Nobody's keeping him accountable.
Right. No
People
check.
within the church try to and will ask questions, but he's a person that just had narcissistic tendencies and wouldn't even allow questions.
Mm.
And so it stopped right there. And so when I can't approach somebody, what can we do? The other thing is that one of the challenges when you have a church where the authority is the Bible, I have to be careful how I say this. Anybody can just say, well, here's how I interpret it, bro. Okay, well, I guess my interpretation's wrong.
I see.
Your interpretation's wrong. And that's why I say a board or accountability, spiritual boards are useful, but sometimes I just don't see them used very much.
Huh.
Both within the church and just kind of outside, let's say a Baptist church or a Presbyterian church. They're not, sometimes they're not utilized in meaningful ways. And so where's the accountability? Who keeps these people accountable?
It was like his way or highway?
Pretty much.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so, devastating. I can't tell you the devastation. Like, I feel like I got off pretty easy.
Oh, really?
Because it's just me and, but I have friends with families and churches and, like, break off mini churches.
Oh, wow.
That just you see, like, people's lives crumbling because they can't be under a person anymore, or they've been asked to leave. Why? So...
It sounds like at least it was a very active church where everybody was very involved. Sorry to make light of it, but...
Yeah, well, when the camera goes off, I'll tell you.
Oh.
I'll tell you more.
Okay.
But because you might know some people.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah, but the thing is that as a result, you find something different, or you look and you try to be strong. You don't become bitter, which a lot of people become. They grow inside. They become despondent. But I feel like you have to always be optimistic and don't hold any bitterness. You just kind of you have your belief and you move on. You're willing to say it and talk about it, but not be enraged. I feel like some people struggle with that at times. So.
Sounds like you're very religious.
I came from that, and I try to be. I don't think I'm a great Christian, but I do believe, and I'm trying to be. Lately, I'm really trying to be much better.
Do you have a big family?
Yes, I have. I was raised. Father and mother, they divorced when I was young.
Me too.
And then I have 2 brothers and a sister. You have siblings?
Oh, no, it's just me.
Okay.
Sister passed away.
Your sister passed away, and I heard you talk about that. It was just you and your sister.
Yeah. How about, you the oldest, youngest, in the middle?
I'm my 2 older brothers from my mom and my dad, and then when my mom remarried, 9 years later, I had a sister.
Oh, you were the youngest.
I was the youngest.
Ah, cool. Everybody in LA?
LA.
Nice.
LA. I can't bring myself to leave. All my city's boarded up right now, and I still love LA.
Can I ask you about what you think about the protests?
Well, I think that it's hard for people to understand this, but most people don't follow politics, and as a result, when people see the protests, they make connections, and they make unpleasant connections. And so I plead for the leaders of the protests to, in no uncertain terms, say no violence.
Oh, yes.
And stop dropping things from the overpass. Stop making us drive 2 hours out of our way. because I'm sympathetic to the cause.
Oh, nice.
I'm sympathetic to the idea of, hey, there must be a different way of doing this.
Yeah.
Of doing what you're trying to do.
I think so too. Yeah.
But you are not. Some of the violent agitators
Oh no.
are not bringing anybody to that cause.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm just saying, I wish there'd be more voices for that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because I just saw the Apple store right down the street from me just get ransacked.
Oh no way!
Yeah.
Holy crap!
It's weird because I'm walking down the street. I don't know if you've heard of Cranes, but Cranes does comedy, and it's a spot like 3 blocks from my apartment. I went down there and I go, oh, how cool, the Apple store is still intact. It's fine. People are in there buying things, So it's like at 8:00 this week, and then I went to Cranes, went back to my apartment. Apple's still doing their thing. And like an hour later, the looters came and just
What the hell?
made out with it. It's just like,
Jesus.
It's so. I think when you see it on TV, it's one thing, but when it's right there near you, it's just, it leaves a really bad taste in your mouth. And so, I don't know. I guess I'm pretty disappointed.
Were you here when the Rodney King riots happened?
I was.
Oh, dang.
I don't know, man. That had a different flavor for me.
Huh.
I was telling a friend of mine, because he was around, and he and I were reminiscing about it. That felt more ground up. Like, that felt more like this, just like people were just tired of it.
Yeah.
And we are coming off the heels of some real serious police brutality in our city.
Mm.
There was a lot of scandal among LAPD.
Oh.
In fact, I have a friend, more of a friend's brother, who spent 20 years in prison as a former LAPD police officer who was caught in one of the LAPD scandals. Not that police brutality scandal, but a different LAPD scandal. But there was a lot of abuse and going on, and brutality in LAPD. So when we saw those riots, no, I don't like the brutality. I don't like looting. I don't like that. But to me, it felt like it came organically. It came from the ground. I don't know how to describe this, but some of the things that I've seen out here, I don't know, it just has a different flavor to me. Some of it, I know I'm painting with a broad brush. Some of it is coming from a good place. I'm seeing people really protesting, and of course, and they're very peaceful, and we have that right to peacefully protest. I just feel like it's unfortunate to not see it sometimes, but I just hate to see LA in smoke.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I've seen it all. Huh?
Is the National Guard there, right around where you live?
I haven't seen it. I don't, not where I live.
Okay.
I haven't seen them deployed around my building, but I pray. I just see all these buildings boarded up, this restaurant called Joey DTLA, completely boarded up, like closed. And we've already seen several places close before this, and I hope this doesn't exacerbate the issue. We saw the pantry close. We saw
What was the pantry?
The pantry, the original pantry, it's been there maybe 100 years.
Oh wow!
It's a diner,
and
it was formerly owned by Richard Reardon, mayor of LA.
Oh.
But it's had a change of ownership hands, but it's been just part of LA, and it closed a couple months ago, but it just feels like downtown hasn't recaptured what it had been prior to the pandemic. It has just kind of lost. It's starting to lose a little bit, but you kind of seen it. We're hoping that it kind of recaptures that, and all of a sudden, the protests / whatever we call it are going on, and now things are boarded up, and I'm feeling. I hope this is just temporary.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Your brother's out of prison now?
It wasn't my brother who was in prison.
Oh.
My friend's brother was
never mind.
in prison.
Got it.
from the Rampart scandal, and he's out of prison, and he has a very good job.
Oh, I see.
And and I know him more from my friend, but it you know, I guess you could find a life after prison if you have skills like this man does, which is good.
So Ruben, can I ask you something? Because I feel like you would be very knowledgeable about this.
Okay.
The protests are about Trump rounding up everyone to capture these illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
Well, they're not supposed to be here.
Right.
So I think the right wing
Okay.
hates the protesters because they think that we were protesting
Yeah.
for illegal immigrants, which is not
Yeah.
exactly true.
I'll give you my take.
Yeah.
You want me to give you my take?
Yeah.
Every president deports people.
Oh, really?
You didn't even know that. Every president deports. I mean, we can pretend that they don't. But Obama, Biden, Reagan, Trump, they all deport.
Oh, really?
Because there are border laws that we have in our country. Okay. What made this different? I think what made this different is it's all about perception and how you communicate things. Trump's platform was on this.
Oh, really?
And people don't like that. You see? It's almost like, okay, deport, but don't say it. You know? Because if you look at the numbers between Obama and Trump, people have made the conclusion. I haven't looked at the numbers. Maybe I looked at them once or something, but a lot of people have mentioned, well, Obama's deported more people.
Wow. What did he deport?
I'm sorry?
Mexicans?
Yeah, anybody who's illegal.
Oh, I see.
It could be Mexicans, Salvadorans, Zimbabweans, right? Anybody who's overstayed your visa.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean by that, right?
Yeah.
And so they're technically not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
They must be deported. So what's happened though subsequently is that we've had so many people in this country now over so many years that the idea is from some political circles is, wow, we have so many people here who've been here, who've had a life here.
Yeah.
Are we going to deport them too?
Yeah.
Can we work something out so that we don't deport them because they have families, there's grandchildren, there's lives? Okay. And so that has been in discussion for a good 10 or so years.
Oh, wow. Really?
I remember they were talking about this during the Romney-Obama discussions. In my opinion, I think so this is what's caused a big problem. Is I feel that there was a laxness in the last 4 years or so regarding very, very dangerous people who are illegal. And I think what's happened, because the very, very there's definitely a perception, and we definitely see that there are some dangerous people here. I'm not talking about the vast majority of immigrants. I'm talking about the dangerous element. The perception is that Biden didn't do enough. I'm talking about the right now.
Yeah.
Biden didn't do enough to get rid of them.
Okay.
Now there's going to be an overcorrection.
Yeah.
And the overcorrection is now they're all going. Because you didn't take care of this problem. Now the Trump and the MAGA right wants them all out.
Oh, I see.
And there's not going to be any negotiation. So to me, like, I don't like the rounding up of Home Depot. I think that's really cold. At the same time, I feel like I'm going to share the blame with the Democrat. I think the Democrats made a mistake. By not taking care of business.
Why did Biden not do that?
I can only imagine that it's not a priority. It became. I guess I can give you theories, but I do know that part of the Republican agenda here is the Republicans are concerned that the elections aren't being fair, related to, oh, you're going to make all these people legal. Who are they going to vote for? They're going to vote for you guys, and that's all you care about. So the Republicans aren't going to let this go. Mm. That's why it's like when I watch people argue about this, I try to not argue, but I also feel like this isn't going to stop. These deportations are going to continue because I feel like it wasn't handled properly. I feel like the dangerous element should have taken, and maybe we could have made people who were, had a life here, perhaps we could have made them legal and found a path to citizenship. But now we're not there anymore. Now it's just deport them all. I don't think they're going to deport them all. How can you do that? But they're going to try to do a lot. So it's very unfortunate because you have just this vulgarity in our discourse. It seems, all these people can't even talk to each other. They're just talking past each other. Yeah. They can't. We're having a nice discussion about this topic, but it's almost impossible to have this. One side or the other, they'll be at each other's throats. You can't have somebody say, "Well, the Democrats hurt themselves here, the Republicans hurt themselves." Oh, you can't talk about my group like that. Okay. So I think that's why we're here, to answer your question.
Do you think LA would be a better place without these immigrants?
No. I think LA is a great place with these immigrants. I just... Let me throw something out at you, because I feel like... I mentioned the Romney, Obama, and nobody brings this up, and so I feel like I'm stuck having to talk about, should we deport immigrants or not deport immigrants, which to me is it's a trap of a question. Okay. Because I'm forced to say, well, wait a minute, Mexican Americans, my people, should leave. No, but then I also believe in the rule of law. It's a very tricky thing to say, because I do believe in that rule. It's helped make America good. But I feel like there's another question that hasn't been answered, and I just want to propose this to you, okay? But I remember telling my father, my late father, do you notice that this discussion between Romney and Obama across 3 different debates, and I know this is taking us back to several candidates, but I noticed that they talked about immigration a little bit, but they never talked about Mexico and helping to improve the Mexican quality of life. Neither candidate talked about our border neighbors. They are in poverty. They're just struck with an environment in which many want to leave. Why? Why can't we help them? And what does it mean to help them? If we could wave a wand and somehow make the Mexican economy improve, what will we wave our wand around? For the Mexican economy to improve, or a comprehensive legal immigration policy, which is everybody was screaming for 10 years ago. They still want it. Oh, comprehensive legal amnesty for immigrants. Wait a minute. What about a successful Mexico or other Central American countries? Why aren't people talking about that? Oh, we can't talk about that. Why not? And I feel like part of the success of Trump is that he talked about Mexico very vulgar, in a very vulgar way, but he was talking about it, and it got all eyes on him. Whereas the previous candidates weren't talking about Mexico at all. They were totally ignoring Mexico. And so I feel like Mexico, I guess my prayer for Mexico is one day it will find itself again. It will be prosperous. That might be a tall order for people to imagine, but I think that's a question nobody asked, and I'm much more interested in that question. than me to say, oh yeah, let's bring them or let's send them. What difference does it make
Mm-hmm.
if people 10 years from now are going to be struggling over there?
I see.
So it's just a thing I think about a lot.
Is it because of I only hear it from my parents or something that it's like drugs or something, right? Like,
I think that it's fascinating when you look at whenever there's a journalist or a government official that stands up to the cartels. Not always. Maybe I shouldn't say whenever, but often they find themselves in great danger.
Oh no.
In great danger, and sometimes they find themselves, dead. And the corruption is so deep, and some people have suggested that members of the government are in fact cartel members.
Oh no.
Yeah, there have been articles, books related to that topic.
Oh
and
God.
So you're dealing with something that's very ingrained and very deep, and I'm very frustrated. I'm very frustrated by the conversation only locating itself to this idea of deportations or no deportations, as opposed to how are we going to improve Mexico and Latin America in general?
Do you think we're capable of helping?
Yes.
Oh really?
With our economy and our know-how and the technology that we have, of course we can help Mexico. Of course. And it's going to be two willing partners. It's going to have to be two partners that are going to have to. It probably can't be Trump because it's at this point people don't trust him. Half the country here, and then Although I do believe that there are a lot of secret Trump supporters too. They don't want to admit it. A lot of Latin Trump supporters.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, they came out in droves. A lot of Latins voted for Trump, and Republican Party. There aren't Latin supporters among Republicans except for Trump. Like we saw an uptick in the Republican Party saw an uptick with Trump, but they didn't vote for Bush or McCain.
Oh wow!
Not very many at all. But there was definitely a change. So I think there are some people who quietly support him.
Oh.
But I think if there's going to be a real change, it might be the next president. They might need to compromise a little bit. Mexico would need to compromise. But I definitely believe that Mexico can change economically and be prosperous. Can you believe that there was a real renaissance? There was a film culture in Mexico. There was an art culture.
Oh, wow.
And I know people who might be watching this say, well, there still is. I know that there still is culture in Mexico. Of course there is.
Oh,
but there was some real that even touched our mainstream in the 50s, and things, the 40s. And it feels like Mexico has lost some of that because of their struggling economy, and maybe some government decisions. But I believe it can.
There's like painters, right?
Painters and filmmakers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, not to say there aren't very great filmmakers in Mexico today, because there are.
Oh, nice.
Some of my favorite ones, but I just believe though that that we could see it again. We could see something.
Man, that's
great.
crazy.
Yeah.
You're saying something about the Latin people who are supporting Trump. So does that mean that some people are supporting the deportation of the immigrants?
I think that if you go to Montebello,
Yeah.
and you put there are no cameras around, and you ask somebody who owns a home in Montebello, and he's Latino, he doesn't like illegal immigration.
I see.
He and she, a lot of them don't like it.
I see.
They're not going to admit that.
Oh, even if they're Latino?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Oh well, in Montebello, that's what you're going to get.
Oh.
That's why I say Montebello, is
Oh, I see.
because when you drive through Montebello, it's a very high. It's a residential, kind of like a bedroom community.
Yeah.
Of probably 80 to 90% Latino owned homes, and they're pretty conservative.
Oh, are they well off?
They wouldn't say they're well off.
Oh.
They would say, well, I own a home, we get by, but you know what? They do well. I have a friend. He's married. He's got the pool.
Oh,
He's
nice.
got 3 kids. One of them is, I think, married now, but 2 of them are married now. But in their 20s. My friend is 50s, and he's pretty conservative. He owns guns. I think you'll see that culture there. And obviously there are those who say no deportations, of course, but of course you'll find Latinos who are in favor of sensible, legal immigration.
Right.
And they're concerned about the border.
I see.
Yeah, it's a concern.
Yeah, I'm concerned about legal immigration too, so it makes me feel a little bit stupid that I was at the protest yesterday, because, it was a pretty engaging experience when you're in there, but But it wasn't just me. A lot of other famous celebrities did it, like Mark Ruffalo, Anna Kendrick.
Wait, so you're saying you're concerned about...
Yeah, like legal, we should be doing like legal immigration. Like why are they here? Why were they here in the first place?
Right. So what you're suggesting is you're for legal immigration, and you're concerned about illegal immigration.
Yeah, but the protest, I think it was a little bit mixed, because not everybody was protesting for the same reasons, hopefully. Right?
And to be fair, I think the concern, which I share the concern, is the idea of rounding people up.
Oh, I see.
Okay?
Yeah.
This expression, rounding up, there's fear with that. There are people who have families here who've had their grandchildren go to school, let alone perhaps themselves go to school here, and they've built a life. The idea of maybe being hunted down or being sought after when you're trying to get a job at the Home Depot or at some of these places, of course there should be concern. I see. And I share that for sure. I don't feel that that's appropriate. And I'm gonna with the original statement I made about the illegal immigrants that are violent criminals. Yeah. Go with that. Yeah. That's what your original plan was. Take care of them. Yeah. And tell the American people, hey, you know what? This was our priority, and this is who we have. We're not going after the grandmas. Yeah. So I agree with you, and I agree with the protesters in that. But I also share the concern about the border and how we need to enforce it.
I think they could have just done a better job at the press conference or something.
I think a lot of it has to do with, you're right, with persuasion and how to speak properly and how to get your point across. Maybe that's why we became comedians, you know?
What do you mean?
Because don't you feel like comedians are working on their speaking skills at some level? It's you're persuading people.
Oh yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah, you should run for office or something.
You think I should run for office? You think
I think some of the open mic comedians, they could run for something. Yeah. Not some of them, but
some of them, yeah. I have a friend who is a pastor, who's maybe not the best speaker in the world. He's come to my open mic.
Oh, no way.
To improve his speaking abilities.
No way.
Yeah. And he's asked me, he goes, do you think it's a good idea? Did you see my sermon online? I go, I did see your sermon online. And he could tell, I wasn't totally critical of him, but he could tell that I wasn't effusive in my praise either, that I wasn't liking his sermons. And he said, do you think I should go to the open mic to build my skills? And I said, that's a very good idea. Oh, wow. And so he's come a few times.
Well, at least he's humble about it.
Yes.
Let's talk about comedy, Ruben.
That's a good idea.
Sorry to ask you all these
Matt,
political...
I know. I hope I'm not completely...
You're the political pundit on this podcast.
I know.
How did you get started with comedy?
I used to. I had a theater company in I was a producing partner.
Oh wow.
With my friend for many years, producing shows, live performances. We started as a sketch comedy group, and it grew into a live theater,
Nice.
a brick and mortar live theater. And that went on for many, many years. So that was what I did. And I considered myself an actor and
Oh wow.
producer. But not everything lasts forever. Everything must come to an end. And it came to an end one day. And it was pretty devastating. The idea of not having something.
Mm-hmm.
There was always something. From pretty much my entire adult life, I had this outlet and this theater. Or at least a version of it, because I say I started as a sketch comic, and then that kind of blossomed into this troupe, and then this theater company, and it wasn't me, it was a group of people.
What was it called?
The sketch comedy group, I was in my own, and then my friend was in a group called the Subterranean Lounge Lizards. And he invited me into his group, and he is a genius. His name is Jay Parker. He's a very great writer, and I met him at church.
Oh,
yeah. He used to do these shows. He used to be an actor, and I just watched him, and I thought, I want to do that.
Wow.
Even as a kid, I saw him. He was a few years older than me,
Oh.
and then we ended up in the same comedy troupe, and then we ended up producing plays together.
Oh wow.
Originals, but mostly established. Death of a Salesman.
Oh nice.
Okay, and pretty much everything. We did everything there. Shakespeare, we did it all.
You did Shakespeare?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Jeez.
I'm a Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. That's.
Is that what you're teaching in the class lately?
I love teaching Shakespeare.
Oh, nice.
I love watching it.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yes. So when it went down, I was looking for something to do, and I ran into a friend, and he said, "Hey, there's an open mic. Have you heard of the Cork Lounge?" I go, "I've seen it in Sherman Oaks, no longer there." And he goes, "You should do it. You're a funny guy." And I said, "No way. I would never. That's for crazy people." I remember saying, that's a different thing than acting. But I liked that he challenged me, and I wrote a set.
Nice.
And I did it, and I never stopped. I loved it.
It went well.
It went, and I'm glad it went well.
Oh wow.
I'm glad my first set went well. I'm not saying I killed, but I remember a comic approaching me, and he said, "That was pretty good, man."
That's a good sign.
That's a good sign, and I thought, I know I didn't bomb for him to say that. A couple people, and another person said that to me, said I did well. And I go, okay. Of course, I bombed many times since then, but so I love the fact that you don't have to wait on other actors.
Yeah.
You're not waiting on anybody. You're your own writer,
Yeah.
director, producer. It was so great because you just have to rely on yourself.
Yeah.
And it appealed to me, and so.
What year was this?
It was right before the pandemic. So
Oh, really?
2019.
Ah.
And I was just doing one-liner comics, jokes back then.
Who was your inspiration?
Jeselnik,
Nice.
Stephen Wright, I
Nice.
guess. Yeah. And so, but now I've moved away from the one-liners, and now I'll talk about myself.
Nice.
I remember walking. This is the thing about stand-up, is that it chastens you.
Yeah.
It pushes you to be. There's always somebody better than you, and you're always aspiring to something. And if you find yourself thinking highly of yourself, somebody will knock you down.
Yeah.
And I remember doing one-liner jokes, doing my set at a particular mic, and I followed a different comic who also did one-liners. And this guy goes up at the mic, and he looked at me, and he looked at this other guy, and he goes, "Motherfuckers, stop telling jokes. Who are you? We don't know who you are. You've been coming out here for years, and we still don't know who you are." And he was furious.
Oh.
And it was kind of humiliating to hear that.
He was berating you?
He was berating us
Oh.
because he doesn't, but in a way he was complimenting me because he wanted to know who I was. And he was telling me I'm memorable at some way because I've been coming there for years.
Oh,
and,
nice.
and you see what I'm saying? But it was also humbling because he thought that the jokes weren't revealing anything about me. So I knew that was something I wanted to do. And I started, from that point on, I started thinking about it.
Oh,
and I
nice.
started writing things about my life that people can draw from.
Nice. Well, I love your comedy. It always makes me think.
Oh, thank you.
But the last time I saw you was a long time ago, so I'm not sure if this happened after I saw you last before. But no, but
I think my comedy's better.
Nice.
If you saw me a long time ago,
Oh, nice.
I'm getting more laughs.
Nice.
So that has to be a gauge of, of improvement.
Do you record your sets?
I record my
Nice.
sets.
Do your students know that you do stand-up comedy?
Some of the yes, and they ask me why I'm in comedy, and I just tell them that I feel like I need to level up. If I'm asking you to level up, why aren't I leveling up in my life? This expression, means to keep improving yourself.
Mm.
And I taught them Perks of Being a Wallflower. One semester, I taught a book that they all would like, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And in the book, it's really a good movie and a good book. The English teacher in that story tells the character to stop being a wallflower and participate in life.
Nice.
And I like that as somebody who teaches them. I want to do that. I don't want to just be this guy who teaches and theorizes out of books, but gets out there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice.
I think they respond to that when I tell them I'm a comic. They
Oh, really?
it. And my graduating seniors, they've already indicated that some of them want to come see me.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
That'll be cool.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
They must like you then. I thought you were like this tiger teacher figure.
I got a card. I got 2 cards from some seniors, and they were both wonderful. But this one particular student, I had to message her back. It's weird. You're messaging. They gave you a thank you card as they graduate, but I have to thank them for the thank you card, which I don't know. I felt like I had to. I told her,
On
this
TikTok,
is
on TikTok or something?
no, I emailed her.
Oh, you?
I have her email.
I don't know if Jen.
She handed me a card, and maybe I should preface this by saying, I think I had about 4 or 5 run-ins with girls in the year, with students. I teach at an all-girls school.
Oh, really?
Yes, I had maybe 4 or 5 like run-ins or problems that are memorable. Like, you have disagreements, little skirmishes, something small, not that big, but maybe 4 or 5 that were memorable where there was a serious disagreement with a student. She was one of them.
Oh, wow.
And I did not think she liked me.
Oh.
And there was tension. And to her credit, she apologized for something that she said to me.
Oh, no.
But she did apologize. But ever since, but I wasn't sure if there was tension between us and if it was good between us. But she was nice. She handed me a card, and I told her, I emailed her back saying, this is one of the best cards I've ever received.
Oh, nice.
She mentioned in the card, you gave me a voice this year. You gave me a voice. And I allow the students to get up and speak.
Oh, nice.
To talk about the book they're reading
Nice.
and why they like it. And to give several presentations throughout the year. And I told her, cards like the way you wrote, what you wrote, are the reason why we teach, like, or at least the reason I teach.
Yeah.
I want to influence people like the way I was. So it's I do get through
awesome.
to students. Perhaps not all of them, of course, but I do.
Kind of like what's that Robin Williams movie? I forgot.
Oh yes.
The Poet Society.
Yeah, Dead Poet Society.
Yeah.
I don't get up on the desk or. I try not to make it about me. You know what I mean? Because teachers watch that movie and they go, oh, I want to be inspirational and be the guy and be captain,
That's
captain. My brother told his students to call him captain, and I told him, you are so cringy, dude. Don't do that. I told him, I have my own podcast with my brother. We do.
Oh, shit.
He's a teacher. We
nice.
do.
Oh, wow, you're both teachers.
We discuss teaching
That's
aspects.
Awesome.
And so I get to roast him if he gets out of pocket.
Nice.
And he got out of pocket that day, so I had to tell him what's up.
Older brother, right?
He's an older brother. That's okay though. You could still.
Is being a teacher hard? Like becoming a teacher, like the process?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to show subject mastery. And you pass a test.
Oh man.
That's the first step, and then you got to go through 2 years of credential classes.
That's crazy.
And I told my students, my AP Lang class, because we did a unit called Hill to Die On. What's your hill to die on? I stole that from the Hill to Die On. Alec Pritchard, Stephanie, sometime. But I took that idea and I said, what's your hill to die on? Argue for it. You have 5 minutes. And my hill to die on was that teaching credentialing programs were scams.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we have seen in the results of students that teaching credential teachers don't correlate with anything.
Right.
You have to show, besides subject mastery and that you could pass these classes, you have to show much more than that. That you can, psychology of students, understanding the psychology,
right.
How to organize them, how to do paperwork properly where you're not drowning in their work, not giving them back there are certain things that you have to do, including immediate feedback. Students are going to talk about not losing their voice. You don't give them immediate feedback, give them their work right back, they're going to feel like you don't care about them. And they're going to be sloppy with their work. He's not going to read it anyway. You see? Little things like that. And so I felt like it's a money-making scam. And so to answer your question, you got to pass those. And then I say what I said a few minutes ago is knowing students and how they operate. Teenagers, they're different than adults. I think it's important to be around them before you start teaching them, just to see how they operate in a room full of their peers.
They're pretty what's the word? Spunky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rowdy.
Yeah. And you can't make a mountain out of something small, because sometimes you got to give them space. Like you'll say something and the student will look at another student and roll their eyes. And the ego in me will want to say, why are you rolling your eyes? But I could let it go. Or I could, because you know what? Why fight that little battle?
Yeah.
Right? When there's more battles that are more meaningful.
Yeah.
Or a student might even say something to me. Like, oh, bruh. Oh, I hate bruh. That's so disrespectful. That's so disrespectful to do it anyway is disrespectful, but to do it to a teacher, I had a couple of students do that.
Oh no.
And so I will just to let it go.
Yeah.
And so that's part of really sensing who they are and giving them some space, letting them be teenagers. But then there's times where you put your foot down and you go, you can't talk that way to me. That's not right. I've ignored a couple of times, but right here, you can't say that, or be careful. And you just got to know when to do that.
Yeah, it's a tough job.
Yes. Comedy's tough too, Terry Boo.
Well, I'm not exactly a pro yet, but Ruben, thank you so much for being here. I feel like 1 hour was not enough to capture the
That was fun.
entire essence of you as a person. But I would love to talk to you again.
That was great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. If I could give you this video in 5 years, what would be the last message that you could send to yourself in 5 years?
I would say so. If I could speak to the future,
Yeah,
Ruben.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, future Ruben.
Ruben. I was gonna say something inappropriate, but who knows who's watching this? My students might be watching this.
They might.
Yeah.
You could say it, whatever.
I can say whatever.
I'm not. You don't get fired or something, right?
No. I wouldn't say anything as outrageous as that. You know, Ruben, I'm proud of you. Could you have done better? Could you have done more? Could you have done something even grander? Yes, but you did it and you showed up.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ruben. Yay. That was fun.
That was fun. Showing up is important.
Yes, it is.